What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And if you are a gamer, you are probably quite aware that the video game The Witcher 3 has finally been released to critical acclaim and rave reviews. But not everybody's having a wonderful experience. Now, the game has had one of the least buggy releases of recent memory. The game runs pretty well for the majority of people that are playing it, but a few people have run into some bugs and issues. But the biggest complaint actually seems to be about a visual downgrade people are noticing in the actual release of the game. Basically, the version of the game that we received is drastically different from the original trailers that we saw for the game. The original game had better foliage, better lighting effects, better fog effects, it looked better in general. Also, PC players were expecting the superior version of the game, and why they did get that at 4K and 60 frames per second, they were hoping to get a lot of different toys that you would see not in the console versions, and it looks like the stuff that they were working on has been disabled for the PC release. AMD users are getting a lot of crashes, by the way, and if you're using an NVIDIA card, disable that hair physics. It's just slowing down your frame rate, guys. Now, after several days of silence, someone from CD Projekt Red finally responded, and they said they too were upset about the graphical downgrades, but there simply was no avoiding it, and that it is vastly different from the build they were showing 2 years ago. He went on to explain that the build that they put together for the trade shows is the game that they were working on, but as they tried different techniques and put them out into the world, often they came back unable to work, and they would have to cut features or know that they simply wouldn't get the features working by release time. So they went with a vision of the game that looked pretty good to them, hoping the players would enjoy it. Now, many players have poked around in the PC version, and they can see a lot of the skeletons of those features that have been cut. This has clearly been the case. They worked on a lot of different stuff, and they've had to cut it and turn it off at the last minute. CD Projekt Red also explained that the consoles did hold the graphics back a little bit, but they could not simply have made a game on this scale or magnitude if it was going to be exclusive to PC. They needed the consoles to get them there anyway. Now, this is very reminiscent to last year's launch of Watch Dogs. People were very frustrated about this exact thing happening, and it looks like history is repeating itself. Or is it? Watch Dogs had a lot of problems besides its graphic fidelity, including a very, very short campaign, a lot of optional DLC you had to get pre-order bonus or console exclusives to get, and then you had the issues of just boring derivative gameplay. Overall, the game wasn't very good. The Witcher 3, on the other hand, promises 200 hours of content, a vast world made to explore with tons of side quests, tons of things to do, scripted dialogue that goes on for hours and hours and hours, and combat that's pretty damn fun. On one hand, we have Watch Dogs, a mediocre game that ended up looking pretty mediocre, and on the other hand, we have The Witcher 3, which is a wonderful, perfect game that only looks pretty good. It's okay to be a little frustrated that this did not end up being the game that pushed our hardware all the way to the edge to draw something beautifully awe-inspiring, but it's no reason to pass this game up if you're into that kind of game. We should stop and ask ourselves the question, why do we put so much hope and heart into these trade show trailers anyway? We should know by now the games never look like that by the time they're released. It just doesn't happen. Each year we watch these trade shows and we watch the trailers and we rush out and pre-order the game, throwing our money at it, but what we're buying is not the game we'll get. We're buying the promise of a ghost of a game that's in someone's imagination, not on a hard drive somewhere. Then, just like clockwork, whenever we get the game, we rage like lunatics that they stole our $60 from us. But in reality, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Whether it's because of time constraints or budget constraints, or they just outright lied to us, we can only be fooled so many times before it's our fault. It's like George W. Bush said,
You fool me once, shame on me. You fool me again, hey, you can't get fooled again.
And this all comes back to why pre-ordering your games is such a stupid thing to do, because if you pre-ordered this game based off of the graphics you saw at that trade show 2 years ago, you are probably really disappointed in what is otherwise a fantastic game. Please don't let your modern day obsession with outrage keep you from playing what is potentially game of the year for many of us. But that's just one man's opinion. Your opinion may differ, and if it does, I'd love to hear it in the comment section below. Please don't just take my word on it. Check with other YouTubers, streamers, and your favorite reviewers to find out whether or not this game is any good. Watch some of the gameplay and figure it out for yourself. I think you're probably going to want to play this one, even if you have to wait until it gets a little bit cheaper to do so. But as always, guys, thanks for listening. I love you very much. I'll speak with you again soon. Don't forget, there's a like button down there, and there's a share button. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. I'm going to go play more Witcher.